Well, hi, everybody. I hope you're doing great this week. We've been having some fun in the gym. This week, we're focusing a lot of our work on the skills you might find around a volleyball court. We are trying our best to make contact with the ball in a striking form. And the things that we've been working on in our stations inside the gym this week have to do with striking the ball with our hand, striking the ball with our arms, and striking the ball with our fingertips. Now, for working on these skills at home, I'd encourage you to find a ball that's not too heavy, a playground ball, a soccer ball. If you have a volleyball, that's great. Any kind of ball about the size of a soccer ball. It could be a basketball, but I'd discourage you from hitting the basketball with your arms because that could really hurt. So if you don't have a if you don't have a volleyball or a soccer ball or a playground ball, maybe you can get something like a balloon and use that. That can be a lot of fun to use. You just don't want to take it outside where it's going to blow around. So use your balloon inside your house, but that can work really well too. Before I show you the stations we've been working on this week, I want you to think about what makes a good striker or hitter of a ball. First, you want your eyes to be on the ball. Keep your eyes on the ball the whole time you're playing. If your eyes are on the ball, then the message gets to your brain of where the ball is, and your brain can better tell your hand or your arms where to hit. Second, it's important that we do something called opposition. Opposition just means if I'm going to strike a ball with my, then I want to step with my left foot. If I'm going to strike a ball with my left hand, I'm going to step with my right foot. Opposition just means your hand and your foot are moving on opposite sides of your body. This is important because it lets you get more power behind your hit, and it also gives you better direction on your hit. Now, let's take a look at our stations today. Here we go. I put our stations on a 3-minute timer, and I put them on that because that seems to be a good amount of time for kids to practice something and then put it away. Give it a little rest. Then they can come back to it. So in class, we've been doing the stations one day and then coming back to them the next day and practicing them all again. So on the outsides of this slide, you see stations number 1 and number 8. In class, we've been using the scooters to scoot around some cones. And that's like a nice little area to work on some fun, but also some upper body strength and lower body strength. Some of our kids have been laying on their bellies on the scooter and pulling themselves around, and some kids have been sitting on a scooter. Now, I know when I was a kid, I did not have a gym scooter at my house. So you might want to scoot around by doing the crab walk, which is the same motion, you just don't have a scooter under you. You might want to do an alligator crawl, something where you're pulling your body across the ground with your belly on the ground. You could do a bear crawl, where you're walking on your hands and your feet. You can be creative. Move around and work out all parts of your body for about 6 minutes. On sections number 4 and 5, we're using striking skills using hockey sticks. So there we're giving a little bit of time to hit a tennis ball against a wall or pass it to our friend using a hockey stick. If you have a hockey stick, that's great. You can go practice with a hockey stick for a little while. If you don't have a hockey stick, maybe you have a baseball bat, or you have a tennis racket, or a racquetball racket, or a long stick that you can use to hit a ball with. It could even be something like a broom that you use. So you can use a broom and a tennis ball, or you can use a broom and that balloon, and you can practice using the broom or the stick or the hockey stick to hit the ball against a wall or to a friend. Now in the middle, sections 2, 3, 6, and 7, we have our volleyball skills we're working on. Let's take section 2 first. In section 2, we have a guy who's demonstrating an overhand serve. That's striking the ball with your hand and sending the ball forward and up a little bit. Now look at him. He has his eyes on the ball. He's tossing the ball up, straight up with his left hand. And he's hitting the ball overhand like a throwing motion with his right hand. Now I want you to look at his legs. Notice when he throws the ball up with his left hand, his left foot steps forward, then he strikes with his right hand, and his right foot then comes forward. So he's stepping with his opposite foot. Step with the hand that you toss with forward. You also want to notice that throwing the ball up in the air, or the toss, needs to be consistent. If you do it the same way every time, you're going to get a better result because you can practice it the same way every time. Practice being very consistent with your toss, and very consistent with your step, and very consistent with your hit on the ball. Next, we have the underhand serve. And this lady here is demonstrating the underhand serve. Notice that she is not tossing the ball at all as an underhand serve. She's holding the ball in her left hand, stepping with her left foot, and swinging her right arm, her striking arm, swinging it with a straight elbow beside her body and then through the back side of the ball. She's hitting it out of her hand. She's not hitting her hand, she's hitting the ball out of her hand. So the step, the swing of her right arm, holding the ball low and in front of her, and the follow through of hitting through the ball. That's really good. Next, we have the bump. The bump. A bump in volleyball is a way of passing or shooting the ball over a volleyball net or to your teammates. Now, this lady here has perfect form for a volleyball bump. Notice her eyes are on the ball. Her arms are straight at her elbows, and she has her hands connected by grabbing each other. Her arms are flat and they're pointed slightly downward. Now, when that ball comes down to her arms, it's going to hit her arms on her forearms. That's the area between her hands and her elbows. Her arms being flat like that make her arms like a board, and the ball is going to bounce exactly where she wants it to go because her arms are flat. If her elbows were bent, or she hit the ball with her wrists or hands, the ball could go anywhere. That makes a very bumpy landing for the ball. We want to make the ball land on a flat surface, so that's our forearms. She's using her knees that you can't see here to bend, and she's ready for that ball to bump it back to her teammate or even over the net. This person here is doing something called a volleyball set. A set's a lot of fun to practice by yourself, or you can practice it with someone else. Toss your ball up high directly over your head. Spread your fingers apart, and when the ball comes down towards you, use your fingers like little trampolines and spring the ball back up in the air as high as you can. A set is a pass in volleyball. You can also set the ball over the net, but it sends the ball way up high in the sky, and it bounces the ball off of your fingers. The rule here is you're not allowed to catch the ball and throw it. You have to spring it off your fingers like a trampoline. Very good. Now we're going to go back to our slides. Give yourself some time to practice all these skills. Pick the ball that's going to work best for you, but I would not recommend a basketball for number 2, 3, or 6. A basketball can work for number 7 if you want. Have a great time practicing all these skills. Get really good at them. Maybe you can teach a family member or a friend how to do these things. Maybe you can practice them so much you can do them without even thinking about it. We call that muscle memory. Give it a long try this week. Have a lot of fun. Maybe you'll end up in an impromptu family volleyball game. Who knows? Enjoy it. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you again soon.